Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing something a little different. As you can see, I have no makeup on and I will not be doing any makeup. Today is just a story time, really, because I did get questions after my initial video mentioning my eye, and I did want to address a couple things, and I feel like I need to do this. There's, other kinds of information in here as well. So if you are interested, stay tuned. Okay, so to begin with, hi, my name is Stephanie. I am a mommy of a 7-month-old teething little baby who is just adorable. I am a wife, I am a photographer, I am an Etsy store owner. I am a licensed cosmetologist as well. A little bit of a background story before we get to the main purpose of this. So I have my cosmetology license. I did work at a salon for about over a year and I loved it, but it's not for me. I've had my cosmetology license since high school. I did it my senior year of high school at a technical center, and like anything that you do at that age, people think, oh, okay, you're doing it for fun. I went in wanting to be a makeup artist. I wanted to be an all-inclusive hair and makeup artist, so I decided, hey, it's right next door to my high school. Why not take the extra classes and get it done? So I did, and then, of course, back then, being a makeup artist still wasn't really considered a full-time job. And so I was pushed, and I was really curious as well, so I went to college and I ended up wasting 3 years of my life and not really getting anything done besides an associate's, because I was changing my major so much because I don't know what else to do. I am a creative person. I've been painting, drawing, singing, creating things my whole life, and this is what I need to keep doing. So that's why I have this channel. Next, what I am going to talk about is my history with my eye. The reason that I'm doing this is because I want to be able to reach out to people who are going through the same things, who maybe don't know what the future will look like for their son or daughter who are going through this at a very young age as well. Although I don't remember what my little childhood years were like, I can give you some insight into what the most recent years have been like. I was born in Brazil in 1994, and if you know anything about Brazil, I kind of consider it being at least a couple years behind regular time. So like the medical care in America in 1994 was probably 10 times better than it was down there. That being said, my mother had a very complicated birth. Her birth canal was too narrow for me to go through, so then my head ended up getting stuck. My umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck, and I was in there for quite a long time until they did the emergency C-section. Sorry if my parents, if you're watching this, I probably don't have all the details correct. It's been a long time since you've told me this, and I obviously have no memory for myself, but I wanted to get what I do remember out. So apparently while I was coming out, there was a medical assistant helping, and it appears that a medical instrument scraped my eye, but that went unnoticed for about 3 months. I did stay in the hospital in intensive care for 3 months, and during that time, because of the lack of oxygen that I had, they weren't expecting a survival rate. And at that point, family members, church people, they started living in the mindset of death. So that's what they were in their minds preparing for, and that is completely backwards. That is wrong, and it's just not what God has called us to do. He has called us to be believers and faithful and expecting miracles. We are supposed to expect great things, and here we have these people pre-planning everything, already saying I'm so sorry for your loss, but I was still alive, you know, things like that. And it's like, I'm sorry, I lived. But anyways, it was 3 months in, and then they discharged me from the hospital, telling my parents that we're gonna let her go in your care so that if she does pass away, she's at home and comfortable, because we don't expect anything else to happen here. So at home, my eye had started leaking and it got an infection, so they took me back in. And what it was is there was black liquid coming out of there. And so I still have an eye, and it's very teeny tiny, and it's in the back of my eye socket. And basically I was in the hospital again for another 4 months. I think I was out when I was 5 or 6 months. I don't know for sure. But they had done so many testings, extra things, and I came home with a little mohawk and my head shaved on the side because they had, you know, needles and stuff going in. And they finally discharged me saying, well, she'll probably live now, but we would expect some heavy mental retardation. Like, she's gonna be slow, she's not gonna be able to function or live normally. We highly doubt that she could have a normal life. So then the mindset of people changed, and they were still grieving. They were still grieving for me. They weren't praying, they weren't praising God for my survival, they were grieving. So that is the beginning of my life, was grief. After they noticed that I started gaining weight, I was becoming a healthy baby, I was doing things normal, besides when I started to walk. It did take me a little longer. I was told 18 months is around the time I started to walk, and I did have some issues. I was running into walls around the corner, making turns weren't very precise. I think they put a helmet on me. They noticed that I was looking at objects by turning my head completely instead of using my eye to look in that direction. So they had to do some kind of training so that I could keep my eye muscle active. When I was 5 or almost 6 years old, we moved to America, and we moved here to give me a better future because the medical in Brazil was not up to par. Let's just say that. So coming to America meant that I could have the medical attention that I needed, and I was finally able to get myself a prosthetic eye after a little bit of time here. And so I was very grateful to have one. Not that I didn't really notice it before, because around my family nobody really mentioned it. It was normal, life was good, and I was like, why do I need a glass eye? Well, I needed one for school because school is tough. School. My early years of what I remember is I was new. I was the foreign girl. I couldn't speak English, and I had a glass eye. So now imagine all those things coming together, and it was a plethora of teasing. It was just a teasing zone for everything. But back then, like I said, I didn't know what was going on, so it really didn't bother me. Once I learned English, I feel like once I learned English and was able to communicate with other kids, I feel like I was a pretty outgoing person. I was friendly, I was wanting to connect with people and make friends, and sadly, little by little, that kept going down each year. The kids kept getting meaner, and I feel like I attracted the kind of people who themselves felt really differently. And I remember just talking with them and, being really good friends with them in school, but then not being able to do anything outside of school because my parents had limitations. They still couldn't speak a whole lot of English, and finding jobs was really hard. But And I remember being friends and being very supportive of whatever they were going through, because of course I still didn't consider my issue to be an issue. You know, it was still pretty normal for me. But I remember going under the swing set in the playground during recess time, and I would ask them what their troubles were. They would tell me their home life and their troubles and their stories, and I would pray for them under the slides. There's that little canopy thing, and I would just sit there and I would pray. And I would pray that their lives would be resolved, that their parents would stop fighting, that they wouldn't get divorced, that they wouldn't have to move away. Let's skip forward to maybe 3rd or 4th grade. The teasing got intense. I got my eye humor at a very young age, because that is how I was able to come back with all the negative comments. That is how I was able to keep myself, going and make it something light, because I figured if I act like it was normal, then maybe other people will act like it was normal too. So I rode the bus home, and I can tell you that those were the longest bus rides of my life. My sense of humor was the type that they would be talking about me, and I would hear it, and then I would turn around and I would take my eye out and I would lean it over the side of the seat, and I would go, "Be careful, I can see you. I see you talking about me," and it would freak them out. And then that's what they would be talking about. They would be talking about how scary it was, but then also how funny it was. And I kind of felt a little better at the funny part, because it's one thing to be looked at in disgust and indifference, and it's another to be like the class clown. I was making jokes, I was being funny, but it doesn't change the fact that teasing is teasing. And I remember the feeling. I remember how exclusive it feels, and how unwanted it made you feel, and like you didn't belong in any part of your class. And and I was being teased for nothing other than being myself, than being normal and being who I thought I was. And so moving on to middle school is when I picked up on the style they called emo, and I liked it because the whole thing was about the side part, the bang, the choppy bang that went across, and I was all for that. I was like, sign me up, I am covering up my face. Oh, baby's awake. I'll be back. Okay, take number 2. We're on nap number 2. Their hair went up because that was a tough one. Basically, what I want to say is that it gets better, but it's easier to know ahead of time that it's going to happen, that kids are mean and life is cruel no matter who you are. And to those of you being bullied, I understand. To those of you feeling left out, I understand. And just know that God loves you, and that you are His creation, you are His child, and He is not forgetting about you. He knows exactly what He's doing, and everything He does is going to bring Him glory. And you need to keep yourself focused, and you need to know that there are people who love you, and if you don't feel loved in your surroundings, you need to change that. You need to find a local church body and go make it your home. It has made a world of a difference for me. It's where I shine the most. I am generally a shy person, but on every other Sunday I am up there singing and I'm worshiping and I'm doing what I love, because it's not about me. It's not about me anymore. I'm doing it because it's about God, and it's about giving Him the glory. And I just hope that I am able to help people with this channel and help them realize that you can have confidence no matter what your issues are. You can have anything in the world. I know it's hard, and that's life, but I am here with you. And to the parents with young ones that are going through something like this, with either cancer in the eye or an accident the same way, it's going to be fine. Don't treat them like they're handicapped. Don't treat them like they can't do things. I can drive a car perfectly fine. You know what? I just adapt. I use all my mirrors all of the time, and you know what? I barely even use the one on the left, because when I get on the road, I know my entire surroundings and I pay attention to it a lot more. I have adapted to using my left hand a lot. Because whenever I use my right and it crisscrosses, it blocks my vision to the right. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's something that's pretty simple, and it's easy, and you adapt to it. The only things that really happen to me now are my younger brothers. They know me, and they use it to they put their hands right here, and I can't see it coming, so when I turn, their finger hits my face, and then they use it to sneak up on me to tickle me on my ribs, and it's all fun and games, and it's all playful because they're my younger brothers, and I'm fine with it. And with anyone else, I find that adults are a little nicer. I used to be very self-conscious about looking people directly straight in the eye, and always so much anxiety about wondering, do they notice anything? Are they gonna think I'm weird? They don't really know what's going on, so they think I have a lazy eye, and they're gonna think that maybe I'm slow or something. I don't know what kind of thoughts go through through people's heads, but I didn't want them to think of me that way, you know? Like, I don't know. It shouldn't matter what people think of you, as long as you know yourself and you know that you are beautiful and that you can do anything you want. And that's it. That's all I gotta say. I hope that if you stay tuned till this very end, that you got something from my message, and that if you feel like reaching out to me, feel free to send me a message, a comment, a link down below to your page, because I will gladly follow back. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of the content on my channel, because I have many plans. I have many plans for this channel, and I hope that it could be my creative outlet. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.